Consistency is not something you feel. It's something you choose, no matter what. Most people don't have a discipline problem. They have a decision problem. They keep starting and stopping because they never made the decision to be consistent no matter what. Not when it's easy, not when they're excited, but even when it's hard, even when no one's watching, even when progress is slow. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. The title says it all. 10 secrets to staying consistent no matter what. And if that speaks to you, then stay right here. This isn't about hype or unrealistic talk. This is about the daily habits, the inner toughness, and the small mental shifts that separate those who stick with it from those who quit halfway. If you've ever felt like you're slipping, starting over, or always almost making progress, then you need to hear this. These 10 truths will help you build a mindset that doesn't quit, a mindset that keeps going, no matter what. This is your wake-up call. No more delays, no more resets. It's time to learn how to stay consistent for good. Number 1, act now instead of thinking for too long. How many times have you had an idea, a plan, a goal? You sat with it, thought about it, imagined what it would look like, maybe even talked about it with someone, and then nothing. Days passed, weeks passed, and the idea stayed right where it was in your head. That's the first mistake. Overthinking, waiting too long, getting lost in what-if scenarios. It's not action that breaks people, it's hesitation. It's delaying what could have been done today because the mind wants to be 100% certain, fully ready, perfectly clear. But here's the truth. Life doesn't wait for perfect timing. Life rewards action, not planning. If you want to be consistent, really consistent, you've got to move faster than your doubts. The mind is tricky. It'll come up with 1,000 reasons to hold you back. It'll whisper things like, just think it through a bit more, or you need more information, or wait until you feel motivated. But motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. What doesn't go away is the power of a small action done right now. Acting now means doing the next real thing, not the big dream, not the perfect version, just the next step. Something small, clear, doable. Something that tells your brain, I'm not sitting around anymore. Because every time you act immediately, you build momentum. And momentum is the secret weapon of consistency. People think consistency is about willpower. It's not. It's about building energy and keeping it moving. And that starts by acting before your brain gets a chance to stop you. You don't need more books. You don't need another course. You don't need to watch 10 more videos. You need to get up and begin. It's the beginning that's tough. Once you start, something changes in you. You go from thinking to becoming. And that change is what transforms people. That's where consistency is born. Don't wait until you feel like doing it. Feelings are not reliable. One day you'll feel excited. The next you'll feel tired. But if you only act when you feel like it, you'll be inconsistent forever. Strong people act regardless of mood. They act because they've decided. They act because they know nothing gets done through wishful thinking. And you've got to reach that place too. You've got to teach yourself that acting now is the rule, not the exception. Not a special day. Not when conditions are right. Right now. Whatever you need to do, do it today. If it takes 5 minutes, don't stretch it into 5 days. If it's uncomfortable, don't wait until it becomes easy. It won't. Most people give their time away to hesitation. They think about starting the gym, but wait until Monday. They think about fixing their finances, but wait until the next paycheck. They think about building their dream, but wait for support or certainty. And slowly time passes, life passes. Then one day, they look back and wonder why nothing changed. It's because they waited. And waiting is a habit that kills consistency. You've got to rewire that habit. Replace it with something sharper. When a task comes to mind, do it. When something needs to be handled, handle it. Don't negotiate with yourself, because the more you delay, the heavier it feels. And the heavier it feels, the more likely you are to quit. The longer you stare at the mountain, the bigger it looks. So stop staring and start climbing. This is a skill you build over time. You don't have to fix everything today, but you can take one small action today, and that's how it begins. That's how consistent people stay consistent. Not because they have superpowers, but because they've trained themselves to take action first, not second. They don't get caught in the trap of over-preparing. They move. They figure it out on the way. And because they move, they grow. Now here's something most people don't want to hear, but I'm going to say it straight. Thinking too much is a form of fear. It's fear dressed up as logic. It sounds smart. It sounds safe. But it's fear. It's fear of failure, fear of looking foolish, fear of the unknown. And if you don't push through it, that fear will own you. You've got to make peace with imperfect starts. Not every action will be smooth. Not every move will work out perfectly. But what's the alternative? Waiting forever? That's not how progress happens. You've got to get used to being uncomfortable and still acting. You've got to get used to not knowing everything and still moving forward. And once you do that, you'll feel it. You'll feel a different kind of power in your life. You'll start trusting yourself more. You'll feel proud, not because everything went right, but because you stopped standing still, because you chose progress over perfection. And that's what keeps people consistent. Not results, not praise, not external rewards, just knowing they did what they said they would do. You need to build that kind of self-respect. You need to be able to look in the mirror and say, I do what I say. I don't overthink. I act. That's where your confidence comes from. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you earn by keeping your word to yourself again and again. Now ask yourself this, how many things are you sitting on right now? Projects, goals, ideas, changes you know you need to make. What's holding them up? Is it really time? Is it really resources? Or is it just hesitation disguised as planning? Be honest with yourself. If something matters to you, prove it with action. Not words, not promises, action. Do it today. Start now. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's small, even if nobody sees it. That one decision to act now is what puts you in control. It's what separates those who talk about changing from those who actually do. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Every day you act fast. Your brain rewires. Your self-image changes. You stop being the person who delays. You become the person who moves, and that shift changes everything. So don't wait for the right moment. Don't wait for motivation to hit. The right moment is the one you create. And motivation, it shows up when you do. You start. Then motivation follows, not the other way around. Consistency is built in those tiny decisions, not once a month, not once a week, but every day, every moment. Every time you choose action over thought, you take back your power. So right now, today, ask yourself, what have I been delaying? And then go do it. Not later, not after this video, right now. That's how you build a consistent life. That's how you win. Not through talk, not through plans, through action. Immediate action. The kind that rewires your brain and reshapes your life. And if you can learn to act now without waiting, without overthinking, without second guessing, you'll be ahead of 99% of people, because most people wait, but you won't. You'll act, and that's the secret. That's where consistency begins. That's where your life starts to change. Number 2, shut off everything that makes you avoid your work. Most people don't stay consistent because they're constantly distracted. They start something, then shift to something else. They plan their goals, then waste an entire evening doing something that pulls them away from those goals. It's not because they're lazy, it's not because they don't care, it's because their attention is scattered, and they don't realize how damaging that is. If you're serious about staying consistent, then you have to shut off everything that makes you avoid your work. Let's start with the truth. Most distractions aren't accidents. You're not just checking your phone or watching one video because it happens randomly. You're using those things as a way to avoid something. You're using distraction as an escape. And the more you run to those little escapes, the further you get from building a strong life. Your brain learns patterns. When you keep pausing your work to scroll or talk or multitask, you're training your mind to avoid focus. You're telling yourself without even realizing it that real effort can wait. That discipline doesn't need your attention right now. And every time you do that, it gets harder to stay consistent, because your energy is being pulled in too many directions. Consistency needs full attention, not half, not a few hours a week. It needs your focus every day. Not because you have to be perfect, but because consistency only builds when you stay on the track long enough to see the results. And you can't stay on track if you keep jumping off for distractions that give you nothing. Now think about your life. Look at your day honestly. How many times do you open your phone without purpose? How many times do you sit down to work and then grab the remote? Or scroll through apps, or text someone back just because it buzzed? It seems harmless in the moment, but it adds up, and worse, it breaks your rhythm. Once your focus is gone, it takes time to bring it back. And the more you break your rhythm, the more inconsistent you become. If you want to live a strong life, if you want to build something meaningful, you have to make a decision. That decision is to remove the things that pull you away from your purpose. And it won't happen by accident. You have to be deliberate. You have to look at your day and start cutting things off completely. Not reducing, not limiting, cutting off. That app that eats 2 hours a day, delete it. That friend who calls every time you try to focus, mute the phone. That browser tab you keep open for later, close it. You don't need more willpower. You need fewer temptations. You need a clean space where your mind is not constantly battling noise. Distraction is easy. That's why people keep falling into it. The brain wants comfort. It wants the easy path. But nothing meaningful comes from the easy path. You'll never feel proud of wasting another hour. You'll never feel good about doing less than you're capable of. And deep down, you already know that. It's not about being strict for the sake of being strict. It's about protecting your time like it matters, because it does. It's the one thing you don't get back. And if you don't guard it, others will waste it for you. Your phone, your entertainment, your environment, they're all designed to pull you in. You've got to take that power back. Cutting out distractions doesn't mean living like a monk. It means being aware. It means noticing when your mind is drifting and pulling it back. It means being honest when you're avoiding your work and facing it head on, because that's where strength is built. Not in doing what's easy, but in showing up for what matters. If you're tired of falling behind, if you're tired of being stuck, if you're tired of knowing what to do but not doing it, then the first step is simple. Remove what's pulling you away. Create a space where your goals are louder than your distractions. Turn your phone off for 3 hours. Sit in silence and do your work. Stop responding to every beep and notification like your life depends on it. Because it doesn't. What your life depends on is your ability to take responsibility for your focus. And nobody can do that for you. People waste years waiting for the right time to be productive. But the time is now. The distractions will always be there. The difference is, strong people learn to ignore them. Strong people don't rely on motivation to avoid their phones. They just don't pick them up when it's time to work. Strong people don't negotiate with distraction. They remove it completely. You need to look at your environment like it's a battlefield. Every little distraction is trying to win your attention. And if you don't defend it, you lose. Not just your time, but your momentum, your progress, your growth. That's why staying consistent feels so hard. It's not because you're not capable. It's because you're not fully present. And you can fix that. You can choose to be present. You can choose to shut off the noise. Not forever. Just long enough to get your work done. Just long enough to build something you're proud of. And once you taste that pride, once you see what's possible when your mind is clear, you won't want to go back. You've got to start setting boundaries with yourself. You've got to say, during this time, nothing gets my attention except this. That kind of discipline builds power. It builds confidence. Because now you're not just working harder, you're working smarter. You're building consistency because you're removing the things that ruin it. Every time you shut off a distraction, you're building your discipline muscle. And the stronger that gets, the easier it is to stay on track. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's just daily decisions that you repeat over and over until they become who you are. You have to look at yourself honestly and say, I've wasted enough time avoiding what matters. That's the moment everything shifts. That's when consistency becomes part of you. Not because it's easy, but because you've created an environment where it's possible. You will always be tempted to avoid your work. But you don't have to say yes. You don't have to follow every impulse. You can choose to focus. You can choose to grow. You can choose to become the kind of person who follows through no matter what's happening around them. So the next time you feel that pull to avoid, stop, pause, ask yourself, is this helping me or hurting me? Then make the choice that gets you closer to who you want to be. That one choice, repeated day after day, becomes consistency. And that's how you change your life. Number 3, force yourself to start before your brain resists. Most people wait too long to begin. They sit, they think, they hesitate. And by the time they finally decide to act, their brain has already convinced them to stop. That resistance, it shows up fast. You feel it the moment you consider doing something uncomfortable. That voice in your head tells you it's not the right time, that you need to rest, that you'll do it later. And the more you listen to it, the more control it takes. That's why you need to force yourself to start before that voice even gets a chance to speak. The delay between the moment you think about taking action and the moment you actually move is everything. If you wait too long, the hesitation grows stronger. Your energy starts to shift. What started as a plan turns into doubt. What felt important starts feeling like a burden. You must learn to act before that shift happens. The longer you wait, the more reasons your brain creates to stop you. It becomes a wall that grows taller with every second you sit there doing nothing. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need the perfect mood. You don't need extra time. What you need is a habit of acting right away. You hear the idea, you feel the spark, and you move. You don't give it time to fade. That's the real test of strength. Acting when everything in you says to wait. Starting before your mind gets a chance to slow you down. The people who build things, the ones who move forward in life, they don't act because they always feel like it. They act because they've trained themselves to move quickly. They've stopped waiting for motivation. They've replaced delay with action. That habit is what keeps them consistent. It's not about being fearless. It's about moving through the resistance before it grows strong. The moment you wake up and think about your goal, that's the time to begin. Not an hour later, not when the day feels easier, right then. Because the first few minutes after a decision are when momentum is built. You either take control or your brain will take it from you. The brain isn't trying to hurt you. but it's designed to keep you comfortable. It wants safety. It wants routine. And anything that feels new or hard, it tries to block. It tells you you're tired. It tells you it can wait. It tells you to stay still. You have to stop listening to that. You have to get up while that voice is still forming. You have to start moving before the excuse has a chance to settle in. And once you move, something changes. You shift into a different state. Your body wakes up. Your mind clears. And suddenly, the thing you were resisting doesn't feel as hard anymore, because the hardest part of anything is starting. If you keep giving yourself time to delay, delay will become your identity. You'll become the person who always plans but rarely acts. And that becomes a habit that's very hard to break. So don't wait, don't think, just begin. Force your body to stand up, force your mind to focus, because in that one act of movement, you're rewriting who you are. Action builds identity. If you keep acting fast, you start to see yourself differently. You stop seeing yourself as someone who procrastinates. You become someone who takes control. And that shift matters, because identity is everything. The more you prove to yourself that you can act immediately, the less you depend on motivation or perfect conditions. You've got to break the pattern of sitting with hesitation. You've got to stop letting your brain talk you out of the things you already decided were important. This is not about being impulsive. It's about being intentional. You already know what needs to be done. You're not confused. You're just letting resistance win. And the only way to defeat it is to move before it fully arrives, even if you don't feel confident, even if the task seems big, even if you're unsure how it will go. Start anyway. Start small. Start sloppy. But start, because once you're in motion, everything becomes clearer. You begin to find your rhythm. You begin to feel capable. And what once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. This is how consistent people win. They beat resistance with action. They don't allow hesitation to take up space. They don't wait for clarity. They act, and then they adjust. And because they act, they stay in motion. That's the real secret. Start fast, and the rest gets easier. Look at any area of your life where you've struggled to stay consistent. Was it because the work was too hard? Or was it because you delayed too long before getting started? Be honest. Most of the time, it's the delay that kills progress, not the task itself. And that's something you can fix today, not tomorrow, not when you feel more ready. Right now, build the habit of standing up immediately. If you decide to work, move toward it. If you want to build something, take the first step before you doubt it. Even if it's just opening your laptop, writing one line, doing one rep, making one call, start before your brain has time to resist. You've spent enough time losing to hesitation. You've wasted enough energy on delays. It's time to rebuild your reflexes. Your new habit becomes this: thought, then action. Not thought, then fear, then delay. Thought, then movement. Train your body to act faster than your mind can interrupt. If you wait to feel perfect, you'll never begin. If you wait until you're ready, the opportunity will be gone. Life won't wait for you to think it over. It rewards those who act. And that reward is not just results. It's self-respect. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to believe in your own word, because you stop breaking promises to yourself. You say you'll do something, and you do it immediately. This isn't just a productivity tip. This is how you build your character. This is how you grow into the person you've been trying to become. It starts with urgency. It starts with a new standard for yourself. No more waiting. No more dragging it out. No more comfort-first thinking. Every second you hesitate, the resistance gets stronger. And every time you act quickly, the resistance loses power. It becomes weaker. And with time, it fades. What once took you an hour to begin will one day take you seconds. But only if you train that muscle today. The longer you wait, the more you lose. Not just time, but belief in yourself. You begin to doubt your own follow-through. You begin to expect inconsistency. And that's a dangerous place to live, because once you stop trusting yourself, everything else falls apart. So fix it. Take back that trust, not with promises, not with plans, with action. Right now. Don't think about it. Don't look for the perfect method. Don't plan it to death. Move, stand up, begin. Do one thing that proves to your brain you are in charge. Not the fear, not the comfort, not the resistance. That's how consistency starts. That's how confidence is built. That's how change becomes permanent. Not by overthinking, but by doing fast, honest, focused. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin before your brain stops you. And if you can master that, you can master anything. Number 4, make your plan simple and follow it daily. Most people fail to stay consistent because their plan is too complicated. They try to do too much too fast. They write long to-do lists that drain their energy just by looking at them. They overplan and under-execute. Then they wonder why they keep falling off track. The truth is, if your plan isn't simple, you won't stick with it. You'll get overwhelmed. You'll start strong, but you won't last. And consistency doesn't come from starting strong. It comes from showing up every single day. So if you want to stay consistent no matter what, you need to make your plan simple and follow it daily. Simplicity creates clarity. When you know exactly what you're supposed to do each day, there's no confusion. You don't waste time figuring it out. You don't have to overthink your next step. You just do it. And the more often you do it, the more automatic it becomes. That's how you build rhythm. That's how consistency becomes part of your life. Not something you chase, but something you live. When your plan is simple, it becomes harder to make excuses. You can't hide behind "it's too much" or "I don't know where to start." You already know. It's written down. It's specific. It's clear. You wake up, look at it, and get to work. There's no guesswork. There's no wasted energy trying to figure things out. The only thing left is to follow through. That's where discipline is built, not in designing the plan, but in sticking with it every single day. You don't need a complicated system. You don't need color-coded schedules or a dozen productivity apps. What you need is a plan that fits your life and pushes you forward. A plan that you can repeat. A plan that works on your worst days, not just your best ones. Because consistency isn't tested when you're feeling good. It's tested when you're tired, stressed, or unmotivated. That's why your plan must be simple enough that you can do it no matter what. Start by identifying the most important action for your goal. Not 5 things, just one. What's the one thing you can do every day that will move you forward? That becomes your daily non-negotiable. You protect it, you schedule it, you build your day around it. That one small action, done repeatedly, creates progress you can actually see. It doesn't matter if it feels too small. What matters is doing it daily. That's the piece most people miss. They aim too high, fail to keep up, and then quit. But if you lower the bar to something you can stick with, even when life is messy, you'll keep going. And if you keep going, you'll win. Don't build a plan that looks good on paper but doesn't work in real life. Build something honest, something realistic, something that challenges you without breaking you. It should stretch you just enough to grow, but not so much that you burn out. That's the balance. That's what a good plan looks like. It's simple, clear, and sustainable. Write your plan down, not in your head on paper. Make it visible, somewhere you can see it every day. Because if it's out of sight, it'll eventually be out of mind. And when it's out of mind, you'll slip back into old habits. Seeing it daily keeps it fresh. It keeps you locked in. It reminds you of your commitment. Your brain needs structure. It needs a clear direction. When you have a simple plan, your brain relaxes. It doesn't panic. It doesn't feel overwhelmed. It just moves. And once it starts moving, momentum builds. That momentum keeps you going, even on the days when you don't feel like it. That's the power of clarity. That's the strength of simplicity. If you've been inconsistent, it's not because you're broken. It's not because you lack discipline. It's because your plan was too much to carry for too long. So change that. Strip it down. Keep what works. Cut what doesn't. Make it lean. Make it easy to start. Easy to continue, easy to repeat. Look at your current plan and ask yourself, can I do this every day? Not just once a week, not when everything's perfect, but every day. Even when I'm busy, even when I'm tired, even when I don't feel like it. If the answer is no, then simplify. Reduce the weight, cut the noise, focus only on what drives real progress. Some days you'll have more time and energy. Use those days to do more if you want. But the base plan should always stay the same. That's your minimum standard. That's what you do no matter what. Whether you feel amazing or you're struggling, that part doesn't change. And here's the truth most people ignore. Boring works. Repeating the same simple action every day might not feel exciting, but it's what gets results. Growth doesn't come from chaos. It comes from routine, from doing the right thing over and over again, even when it's not exciting. That repetition builds mastery. It builds trust in yourself. You stop hoping you'll follow through, and you start knowing you will. This is how consistent people think. They don't wait for motivation. They don't search for variety every day. They make their plan simple. They do it daily, and because of that, they get ahead. While others are stopping and restarting, changing strategies every month, the consistent ones just keep showing up. They do the same small things that others overlook, and over time, those small things lead to massive results. If you want to live with clarity, you need to remove the noise, remove the pressure to be perfect, remove the idea that you need a perfect strategy. You don't. You just need to decide what matters most and make it part of your everyday routine. Whether it's reading for 10 minutes, working out for 20, building a skill for 30, set the time, make it clear, and stick with it. Don't aim for perfect days, aim for progress you can repeat. That's how consistency becomes part of your life. Not as something you fight for, but something that feels natural. Because when your plan is simple and tied to your goals, it no longer feels like a burden. It becomes a habit. It becomes who you are. This kind of discipline changes the way you see yourself. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles to follow through. You begin to believe that you can stay on track, because you are, and that belief pushes you forward even more. You won't need to rely on willpower forever. Once the routine is in place, it starts running on its own. That's what you're building. A system that doesn't break when you're tired. A routine that carries you when your motivation is low. A plan so simple and locked in that following it becomes automatic. This is what consistency looks like in real life. It's not glamorous. It's not loud. It's simple. It's clear. It's daily. You don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to get clear on what matters. Simplify your approach and commit to showing up for it every day. That's how progress is made. That's how confidence grows. And that's how your life begins to change, one simple, repeated action at a time. Number 5, tell yourself quitting is no longer an option. You have to draw the line. At some point in your life, you have to decide that quitting is not something you're going to allow anymore. Not as a backup plan, not as a quiet exit, not as a comfortable escape. It's no longer an option. Not because it feels good to say it, but because you've had enough of giving up halfway. You've seen what quitting does. You've felt the regret. You've seen time pass with nothing to show. And now, it's time to choose something different. When quitting is an option, you don't give your best. Deep down, you already know there's a way out. So the moment things get difficult, you loosen your grip, you slow down, you hesitate. You start telling yourself stories about why this isn't the right time or the right thing. But when quitting is off the table, you fight harder. You stay in it longer. You face the discomfort instead of running from it. You need to change the way you think about hard things. Struggles are not a signal to stop. They are proof that you are doing something real, something worth doing. And real progress will always come with resistance. You can't expect it to be easy and still be proud of it. Growth comes with discomfort, but only if you stay through it. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to have everything figured out, but you do have to stay in the game. That's what separates the people who make it from the ones who don't. It's not luck. It's not magic. It's the refusal to quit when things get heavy, because they always get heavy. No one is exempt from hard days, failed attempts, or unexpected problems. What matters is who keeps going anyway. The reason most people quit is because they focus too much on how far they still have to go. They see the entire staircase and feel overwhelmed, but you don't need to climb everything in one day. You just need to take the next step, and then the one after that. Over time, those small steps add up to something incredible, but only if you keep walking. The key is to commit fully, not halfway, not when it's convenient, not only when you feel motivated. Full commitment means showing up whether it's raining or sunny, whether you feel ready or not. You show up because you said you would, and when quitting is no longer an option, showing up becomes your default setting. You stop searching for shortcuts. You stop asking how long it will take. Instead, you decide, I'm in this until it's done. The mind is quick to give you reasons to stop. It will tell you that you're not seeing results fast enough, that maybe this isn't the right thing, that other people are ahead. You must shut that noise down, not by ignoring it, but by responding with a stronger voice, a voice that says, I don't quit. I've quit before, and I know where that path leads. I'm done with that story. Quitting keeps you stuck in the same place year after year. You start something, then stop. You get excited, then lose interest. You make a plan, then drop it when it gets uncomfortable. And all that does is teach your brain that giving up is acceptable, that as soon as the pressure hits, escape is allowed. You need to break that pattern. You need to retrain your mind. You do that by finishing things, by sticking it out even when it's frustrating, by pushing through boredom, through doubt, through failure. Every time you do that, you create a new mental pattern, one that says, I finish what I start. That's who I am now. Quitting is usually driven by emotion. You feel tired, so you want to stop. You feel discouraged, so you want to walk away. But you are not your emotions. You can feel frustrated and still move forward. You can feel uncertain and still keep going. Emotions come and go. Your decision to stay must remain. That's what builds character. Not pretending everything is fine, but showing up even when it's not. You must stop relying on feelings to determine your actions. Discipline is stronger than emotion. And you build that discipline by removing quitting as an escape route. You wake up every day and remind yourself, I may not feel like it today, but I'm still moving forward. That kind of thinking changes everything. Every breakthrough is waiting on the other side of difficulty, but you'll never see it if you keep quitting too soon. Some of the best days of your life will only come if you outlast the worst ones. And you can. You just have to decide that quitting isn't an option anymore. That from this day forward, you don't exit when things get uncomfortable. You lean in. If you quit now, you'll end up exactly where you were before, frustrated, starting over, trying to convince yourself again that next time will be different. Don't go back to that cycle. Don't repeat that loop. Make a different choice this time. Tell yourself with complete honesty, I'm done quitting. I'm done running. I'm here to finish. This isn't about being tough for show. This is about your life, your goals, your future. You can't keep tossing those away because something didn't go smoothly. Life isn't supposed to go smoothly all the time, but you can still win. You can still grow. You can still become the person you promised yourself you'd become, but only if you stop giving up on yourself. What would happen if you stayed with it this time? What would change if you saw it all the way through? What kind of respect would you build for yourself? What kind of results could you finally earn? Think about that version of you, the one who finishes, the one who pushes forward when it's hard. That version exists, but you have to choose it. You don't need motivation. You need a decision. One single decision that says, I keep going no matter what. Even when it's slow, even when I doubt myself, even when nobody claps, I keep going. That's the mindset that leads to real change. Not hype, not inspiration that fades by tomorrow, but a quiet, solid commitment that says, I'm in, I'm staying, I'm not leaving just because it got tough. That mindset, once locked in, makes you unstoppable. Because now you're not looking for reasons to stop. You're looking for ways to keep going, and you always find what you look for. It starts now. Tell yourself, quitting is no longer an option, and mean it. Say it to yourself when it's dark. Say it when no one believes in you. Say it when you want to walk away. Then keep going, keep building, keep proving to yourself that this time it's different. This time you finish. This time you stay in the fight. Because this time you're done quitting, for good. Number 6, do hard things even when no one claps. Doing the hard things when no one notices, when no one claps, when no one cares. That's where your strength is built. That's where real growth begins. Everyone wants recognition. Everyone wants to be seen, appreciated, and acknowledged. But the truth is, most of the things that change your life happen in silence. Nobody's watching. Nobody's cheering. And yet you still have to do them. Not because someone's clapping, but because it's who you've decided to be. It's easy to show up when people are watching. It's easy to try hard when you're being praised. But what about when the room is empty? What about when no one texts you good job? What about when your progress isn't visible yet? That's when it matters most. That's when you find out if your reasons are real. Because if you only move when someone claps, you're not doing it for you. You're performing for approval. And approval is a weak fuel. It runs out fast. Doing hard things when nobody's looking teaches you discipline. It teaches you self-respect. You're not showing off. You're not chasing praise. You're building your character. You're putting in work because you owe it to yourself, not because you're chasing attention. That kind of focus, when it's quiet, when it's lonely, when no one claps, is what separates the strong from the average. There are going to be days where you feel invisible. You'll show up, do the right thing, and nobody will notice. You'll sacrifice your comfort, your energy, your time, and there won't be a single pat on the back. And in that silence, you're going to want to pull back. You're going to wonder, what's the point? That's the exact moment you need to push harder. That's the test. Not the easy work, not the applause, the silence, the invisible effort. That's the part that builds something real. The people who keep going during those moments are the ones who eventually rise. Not because they're lucky, but because they kept doing the work that everyone else gave up on. They understood that progress doesn't need an audience. They understood that hard work isn't meant to be glamorous. It's meant to change you, quietly, deeply, day by day. You're not going to get a trophy for staying disciplined. There's no prize for waking up early, eating right, managing your time, or grinding in silence. But the reward is much bigger than a trophy. It's who you become through that process. It's the strength you gain by not needing applause. It's the power you feel when you no longer rely on validation to move forward. People waste years waiting for someone to acknowledge their effort. They slow down when nobody notices. They give up because no one is clapping. But the ones who win, the ones who grow, they clap for themselves. They build a standard where showing up and doing the hard thing is expected, not celebrated. If you keep looking for approval, you will get addicted to needing it. And once you're addicted to validation, you lose control. You start doing things for the wrong reasons. You change your goals to impress others. You alter your path based on how loud the applause is. That's a dangerous place to live, because the minute the applause fades, your discipline fades with it. You need to reach a point where you can push yourself without a crowd, where the grind is enough, where the act of doing it, finishing it, showing up for it, becomes your reason. That's when you know you've matured. Not when people say, wow, but when you don't care whether they do or not. You must learn to be proud of yourself in the silence. You must learn to celebrate your own effort, even if no one else ever sees it. That's what builds true self-worth. That's what makes you unshakable, because then you're no longer working for approval. You're working for impact, for progress, for your future. It's not supposed to feel exciting all the time. Most of the journey will feel like work, and that's okay. You're here to push through the hard things because you know they lead somewhere meaningful. There's something powerful about doing what's difficult and doing it alone. You start trusting yourself on a different level. You stop doubting whether you're capable because you've already proven it to yourself in silence. You've already seen what you can do when no one's pushing you. That's confidence, not hype, not ego, just quiet, solid self-belief that can't be shaken. And when you build that kind of trust in yourself, everything changes. You stop second guessing. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop caring whether people understand your effort. You just keep going, because now your effort is tied to your identity, not to someone's reaction. This world is filled with people who quit when the spotlight turns off. Don't be one of them. Don't be the person who only works hard when someone's clapping. Be the person who keeps grinding, even in the dark, because real progress happens there. Real growth happens there. And when the results finally show, you'll know exactly where they came from. You'll know they weren't luck. They weren't given. They were earned through every early morning, every late night, every quiet step forward when quitting would have been easier. That's the reward. That's what you carry with you, not someone else's praise, but your own quiet confidence that says, I did what was hard. I did what mattered. I didn't need applause to stay committed. So when you find yourself in the middle of the work and no one's cheering, keep going. When you feel like it doesn't matter because nobody sees it, keep going. When it's quiet and hard and lonely, keep going, because that's where the winners are made, not in the light, but in the dark, not with praise, but with persistence. The world may never fully understand how hard you work. It may never clap loud enough. It may never recognize the sacrifices you make, but that's not your concern. Your job is to keep going. Your job is to do what's right, not what's noticed. And when that becomes your standard, your life begins to shift, not because others believe in you, but because you believe in yourself, and you've proven it every single day without needing the noise. Number 7, face your laziness instead of lying to yourself. Most people don't want to admit when they're being lazy. It's easier to cover it up with excuses, to blame stress, or low energy, or lack of motivation. But the truth is, deep down, you know when you're avoiding what needs to be done. You know when you're wasting time. You know when you're not doing what you said you would do. And until you face that head on, nothing changes. You'll stay stuck in the same loop, knowing what to do but not doing it, telling yourself you'll start tomorrow, promising yourself you'll do better next week, but you won't, unless you stop lying and call it what it is, laziness. You have to be honest with yourself, not just occasionally, every day. Because laziness doesn't show up wearing a name tag. It disguises itself. It pretends to be self-care. It pretends to be rest. It pretends to be taking a break. But if you're being honest, most of those breaks are just you avoiding effort. It's you delaying what matters. It's you postponing progress. You have to stop sugarcoating it. You're not too busy. You're not too tired. You're just choosing easy over effort. And you've been doing it so long, it feels normal now. That's the problem. Laziness doesn't always feel like laziness. Sometimes it feels like comfort. But comfort becomes a trap when it keeps you from building the life you know you want. The only way to break out of that trap is to look at yourself clearly. Strip away the stories. Stop saying, I'll get to it later. Start asking yourself, why am I not doing this now? What am I running from? What am I afraid of? What am I protecting? Because often laziness is not just about not wanting to work. It's about not wanting to feel discomfort. It's about not wanting to face failure. But you've got to stop running from those things. You've got to start confronting what you've been hiding behind. You can't grow while lying to yourself. And the biggest lie most people live with is pretending they're trying when they're not. They say they want success, but they don't show up for it. They say they're working hard, but they're distracted every 5 minutes. They say they're tired, but they've got hours for entertainment. You don't need more time. You need more honesty, more self-awareness, more courage to say, I've been lazy, and I need to change that. Laziness doesn't go away on its own. You can't hope it'll disappear one morning. You have to confront it directly. You have to interrupt the pattern. You have to call yourself out when you notice it, not with guilt or shame, but with truth, because nothing changes without truth. Facing your laziness doesn't mean becoming harsh or cold with yourself. It means recognizing where you're falling short and then choosing to step up. It means noticing when you're drifting and pulling yourself back on track. It means holding yourself to a higher standard, one that says, I don't lie to myself anymore. I do what needs to be done. You know what it looks like when you're locked in. You've felt it before. You've had those days where you were focused, where you moved with purpose, where you finished what you started. That's not luck. That's not a special mood. That's you without the lies. That's you facing life head on instead of avoiding it. You've got to build more days like that. And it starts with getting rid of the stories that protect your laziness. The I'll do it later story. The I need to be in the right headspace story. The I'm too overwhelmed story. They sound reasonable, but they're just polished excuses. And you've got to stop falling for them. You don't need motivation to act. You need standards. A standard that says, I follow through whether I feel like it or not. A standard that says, I don't skip my work just because it's uncomfortable. A standard that says, I've wasted enough time lying to myself, and I'm done with that. There's power in calling things by their real name. When you say, I didn't do the work today because I chose laziness, it stings, but it's honest. And that honesty makes you uncomfortable enough to change. If you keep telling yourself comforting lies, you'll stay the same. If you tell yourself the truth, even when it hurts, you create space to grow. You already know what you need to do. You don't need another tip. You don't need another motivational quote. You need to stop protecting your laziness with soft language. You need to start seeing it for what it is, a thief. It's stealing your time. It's stealing your progress. It's stealing your confidence, and you're letting it. You were not born to be average. You weren't created to sit around wasting time, numbing yourself with distractions, drifting through each day. You have a mind that can focus, a body that can move, a heart that knows what matters. But you've got to stop waiting for it to magically happen. You have to face the part of you that keeps pulling you backwards. And when you face it, you take away its power. It's not about perfection. You will have slow days. You will feel tired. But the difference is in your honesty. When you're tired, say it, but don't pretend. Don't lie and say you didn't have time when you spent an hour doing nothing. Don't lie and say you're too busy when you know you could have done more. Your results won't come from being perfect. They'll come from being real with yourself every single day. If you want to be consistent, you have to become your own accountability. No one else is going to do it for you. No one else is going to push you to face your lazy patterns. That's your job. That's your responsibility. And it starts with one simple rule. Tell yourself the truth. You owe it to your future, to your goals, to the life you say you want. You can't build it while avoiding effort. You can't build it while hiding behind fake busyness. And you definitely can't build it if you keep protecting your laziness with excuses. Decide today to stop negotiating with it. Stop entertaining it. Stop giving it space in your life. You've already lost time to it. Don't lose more. Be the one who shows up, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Be the one who faces the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Be the one who says, I'm done lying to myself. That's how you change. Not with hype, not with perfect days, but with brutal honesty, consistent effort, and the decision to face your laziness instead of defending it. You don't need to do everything today, but you do need to stop avoiding what you know needs to be done. Start there. Start now. Start with the truth, and everything else will begin to shift. Number 8. Stop explaining and just get the thing done. Too many people waste their energy talking about what they're going to do instead of doing it. They explain their plans. They explain their delays. They explain their struggles. And the more they talk, the less they act. But nobody is changed by explanations. Nobody is moved by promises that lead nowhere. The truth is, if you want to change your life, you need to stop explaining and just get the thing done. Explaining might feel productive, but it's not. It's just a cover, a delay tactic, a way to avoid doing the real work. You tell yourself you're planning, preparing, thinking it through, but deep down you know you're stalling. You know you're putting off the uncomfortable part, the actual doing. Because doing is hard. It forces you to show up. It forces you to deal with your excuses. It demands results. Explanations don't. Every time you stop to explain why you didn't do something, you're shifting focus away from what matters. You're defending your inaction. And the more you defend it, the more comfortable you get with not moving. Eventually, your entire identity becomes wrapped up in talk. You know what needs to happen. You say all the right things, but nothing changes. And that's the cost of constant explaining. If you really want to be consistent, if you want to build anything meaningful, you have to drop the habit of trying to justify yourself. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your progress. You owe yourself results. And the only way to get those results is to stop talking about the thing and do the thing. It's not about being silent. It's about choosing action over words. It's about putting more time into the actual task than the story behind the task. Every time you say, I was going to, but you're reinforcing a version of yourself that doesn't follow through. And if you keep doing that long enough, you start to believe that's who you are. Someone who tries, someone who plans, but not someone who finishes. You don't need a better excuse. You need a better routine. You need to walk straight into the discomfort and do the work. Even if it's not perfect, even if you're not in the mood, even if no one understands why you're grinding in silence. The people who get ahead aren't the ones who explain the most. They're the ones who move the most. They build momentum through action, not discussion. Think about how many hours you've wasted this year justifying why you didn't get something done. How many times did you say you were tired or busy or mentally drained? And then what? Did that explanation fix anything? Did it move your goal forward? Or did it just let you off the hook again? When you stop explaining, something changes. You take responsibility. You stop trying to manage how people see you, and you start managing your time and effort. You stop trying to sound good, and you start doing good work. That shift from performance to progress is where real consistency lives. It's not about being aggressive or heartless. It's about being focused. Being tired doesn't always mean you need rest. Being stuck doesn't always mean you need help. Sometimes you just need to stop telling the story and take one small action forward, one line written, one rep done, one task finished. That's what matters. That's what breaks the cycle. Nobody cares why it didn't happen. People remember what you actually finish. People trust results. Even your own confidence is built by what you complete, not what you intend. So you have to ask yourself, am I building proof of progress or just repeating the same explanations again and again? You don't need a new motivation strategy. You need to stop buying your own excuses. You need to get to a place where you feel more discomfort explaining than executing. Because when doing becomes your new habit, your entire mindset changes. You think less and do more. You talk less and finish more. You shift from waiting for perfect timing to creating your own momentum. Start holding yourself accountable in real terms, not by how many hours you talked about something, but by how many actual steps you took. The days you don't feel like it, that's when it counts the most. Because those are the days when your discipline is tested. Not by what you say, but by what you choose to do despite how you feel. You'll never regret getting it done. You'll never look back and wish you had explained more. What you'll regret is the time wasted defending your delays. What you'll regret is the progress that never came because you stayed stuck in justification instead of action. People respect consistency more than they respect words. You don't need to prove anything to anyone with speeches or status updates. Prove it through your habits. Prove it through your follow-through. Prove it through the results that show up when nobody was watching because you were too busy working to explain anything. You don't have to broadcast your effort. You don't have to announce every plan. Just do it quietly, relentlessly, with focus. And when the results show, they'll speak louder than anything you could have said. Most people never build momentum because they keep stopping to explain. They interrupt their flow by thinking too much about why it's hard. They pause every time discomfort shows up. They give long stories about what went wrong instead of fixing it. You don't have time for that anymore. You've done that version of life already. It didn't lead anywhere worth staying. So drop the explanations, drop the justifications, drop the habit of needing to explain why something isn't done yet. It's either done or it's not. And if it's not, fix it. You don't have to defend yourself. You just have to show up. Do the work. No fanfare, no backstory, just results. There's a different kind of pride that comes from execution. Not from being loud, but from being consistent. From doing what you said you would do without needing anyone else to validate it. That's where self-respect is built. That's where personal power is earned. The more you explain, the more you train your brain to stay comfortable. But when you make it a rule to act first, to speak through your actions, to move even when you don't feel like it, you build something stronger than hype. You build reliability. That's what changes everything. Being reliable to yourself, to your vision, to your future. And the only way to get there is to replace the explaining with execution. Stop telling people what you're going to do. Stop telling yourself that tomorrow will be better. Just make today count. Right now. No more stories. No more reasons. Just get the thing done. That's the standard now. That's the shift. And that's how you win. Number 9, train your mind to finish what you start. Most people are great at starting. They feel a rush of excitement at the beginning. They feel motivated. They feel hopeful. And they jump into something new with energy. But a few days later, that excitement fades. Reality sets in. The work feels heavier than expected. Progress feels slower. And instead of pushing through, they stop. They leave things halfway. They abandon goals they once said were important. That's why they never see real results, because they never finish. If you want to be consistent and successful in anything, you must train your mind to finish what you start. Finishing isn't about talent. It's not about having everything figured out. It's about discipline. It's about learning how to stay with something even when it's boring, even when it's not going well, even when nobody believes in it. Your mind needs to learn that once you start something, quitting is not your default. Completion is. That mindset doesn't happen by accident. You have to train it day after day. Every time you start and stop, you send a message to yourself. You say, I don't follow through. And that message builds an identity. It becomes part of how you see yourself. Then the next time you want to take on something new, doubt creeps in. Not because you aren't capable, but because you've already told yourself 100 times that you don't finish. That cycle will repeat over and over unless you break it by finishing something, no matter what. Finishing isn't about perfection. It's about deciding that done is better than forgotten. That pushing through is better than walking away. When you force yourself to see something through to the end, you shift your mindset. You start building proof that you can be trusted. You start trusting your own effort. That trust is everything, because without it, you second guess every decision. If you've fallen into the habit of starting and stopping, don't beat yourself up, but do get serious about breaking that habit. Choose something small to start with. Pick something manageable, something you know you can complete. Then do it. No matter how long it takes, no matter how you feel in the middle, no matter if the results are perfect or not. The point is not the outcome. The point is the follow-through, the discipline, the self-respect that comes from honoring your word to yourself. The brain will try to talk you out of finishing. It'll say it's not worth it. It'll say it's taking too long. It'll try to distract you with something new and exciting. That's how the cycle starts again. But you can interrupt it. You can say, no, I'm finishing this. I'm not jumping to the next thing. I'm not starting over. I'm staying here until it's done. That decision is where your power is. You don't train your mind by hoping. You train it by doing. You teach your brain what matters by the way you act. Every time you cross the finish line, you reinforce the belief that you're a finisher, that you don't walk away halfway, that your work deserves to be completed. That belief builds confidence. And confidence isn't just about feeling good. It's about knowing deep down that you're reliable, that when you say you'll do something, you will. You've got to stop chasing the high of starting. Stop jumping from thing to thing, hoping the next one will feel better. You're not lacking ideas. You're lacking finish lines. And the only way to get there is to stay focused. Stop letting your attention bounce around. Pick one thing and ride it out until it's done. That's how winners think. That's how progress is made. The world is full of people who almost did something, who almost finished, who had great potential but no follow-through. You don't want to live in that group. You don't want to look back and realize how many things you left half done. It's not a good feeling. The feeling of regret is sharp, but you can avoid it by becoming someone who finishes no matter what. You're not going to feel excited the whole time. There will be days when it's hard. There will be moments when you want to quit, and that's exactly when you need to lean in. Those are the moments that build your mental toughness. Anyone can start when it's easy. Few keep going when it's hard. But if you can train yourself to move forward when most people stop, you'll separate yourself from the crowd. You've got to learn how to sit with discomfort and still act. You've got to build the skill of finishing in the middle of distractions, doubts, and low motivation. That skill is rare, but it can be learned. And it starts by giving yourself one rule. I don't leave things halfway. Don't just say it. Prove it. Prove it to yourself every single day. Make it a point to finish what you begin, even if it's small. Clean up tasks you left open. Revisit goals you started but never completed. Close the loops in your life. That cleanup process is powerful. It builds mental clarity. It builds confidence. And it reminds you that you're not a quitter. You just needed to reset your standards. Every time you complete something, your mind becomes sharper. It becomes more focused. You stop tolerating unfinished business. You start holding yourself to a higher level. And with that comes better results. Not because the work got easier, but because you got stronger. If you want to win, this is where you start. You start by taking your own commitment seriously. Not when it's convenient, not when you feel like it, but always. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Finish it. And if you stumble, if you fall behind, get back up. Keep going until it's done. That kind of consistency doesn't just build results, it builds identity. You're no longer someone who tries. You're someone who completes. And that shift in identity changes everything. You don't need a better plan. You don't need more time. You need to follow through. Start with what's in front of you. Finish what's already in motion. Stop stacking up unfinished goals. Clear the path by closing what you started. You'll feel stronger. Train your mind like a muscle. Repetition is the key. Finish, finish, finish. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be done. And over time, you'll become the kind of person who always sees things through. That's where your next level begins. That's how real change happens. Not with hype, not with ideas, but with the quiet, consistent decision to finish what you start every single time. Number 10, act like nobody's coming to save your future. Nobody is coming to fix your life for you. Nobody is showing up with a perfect solution. No mentor, no boss, no friend, no family member is going to carry your future on their back. That's your job. And the sooner you accept that, the faster your life will change. Waiting for someone else to make things better is the easiest way to stay stuck. And many people live their entire lives that way, waiting. They wait for approval, for help, for clarity, for support. But life doesn't reward those who wait. It rewards those who move. And that means acting like nobody is coming to save you. You have to take full ownership, not partial, full. You have to look at your life, your habits, your choices and say, if I want something better, I have to build it myself. It's uncomfortable. It's not what most people want to hear, but it's the truth. If you don't take control, someone else will control it for you. That's how the world works. People who take action rise. People who wait get passed by. It's not about being alone. It's about being responsible. Even if people support you, even if someone believes in you, even if you have help, that doesn't remove the need for personal action. Support is a bonus, not a substitute. At the end of the day, it's still on you. Nobody owes you a better future. You have to earn it, not with complaints, not with hope, but with consistent effort, with decisions that are hard but necessary. Look around at the people who are winning. Look at those who are making progress. You'll notice one thing: they don't wait. They don't rely on others to push them. They move because they've made a decision that says, this is my life. I will not leave it in someone else's hands. That kind of mindset creates power. You start thinking differently. You stop blaming and start building. Too many people carry a victim mindset. They believe their situation is the fault of someone else. Their parents didn't teach them. Their boss doesn't recognize them. The system is against them. Maybe some of those things are even true. But holding on to that blame will never change your outcome. Even if someone else created the mess, it's still your job to clean it up. That's how you move forward. You cannot grow while pointing fingers. You cannot evolve if your energy is always focused on what's missing. Take what you have, even if it's not ideal, and start. Start small, start messy, start afraid, but start. Because every moment you spend waiting is a moment you could have used to move. The clock isn't going to slow down for you. Life keeps going, whether you act or not. So you have to get to a place where your future matters more than your excuses. Nobody is going to drag you out of your laziness. Nobody is going to force you to care. You have to wake yourself up. You have to be the one who says, enough is enough. Not tomorrow, not next month, now, today. Because if you don't do it, who will? Every time you delay responsibility, your future becomes someone else's decision. And the truth is, most people aren't thinking about your future. They're thinking about their own. That's not selfish. That's reality. You have to care more about your future than anyone else does. You have to protect it, build it, and fight for it when it's under attack. It doesn't matter how hard your past was. It doesn't matter how much help others got. What matters is what you're going to do now. What matters is what you're going to do with the time you still have. You can't go back, but you can go forward. If you stop waiting and start acting like your future depends on you, you don't have to do everything at once, but you do have to do something. Waiting for the perfect time is just another form of fear. You won't feel ready. You won't have all the answers, but that's never been the requirement. The requirement is movement. You learn by doing. You grow by trying. You figure it out on the way, but only if you start walking. Nobody is obligated to push you. Nobody is required to motivate you. That's your job, and it's a job you have to take seriously. You want freedom? Build it. You want change? Create it. You want progress? Work for it. The world gives you what you're willing to earn, not what you want, not what you deserve, what you earn. And the only way to earn it is to act like you're the one responsible for where your life is headed. This mindset is not harsh, it's freeing. Because once you accept that nobody is coming, you stop waiting. You stop delaying. You stop expecting some magical moment to turn everything around. You become the moment. You become the reason things start to shift. That's how confidence is built. Not from comfort, but from doing what needs to be done, especially when it's hard. You have to train yourself to respond with action. No more emotional spirals. No more sitting in your head replaying what went wrong. Get up and respond with effort. Respond with a plan. Respond with self-respect. That's what turns a bad day into a strong one. That's what builds a mindset that doesn't break under pressure. People will tell you to stay patient, and patience matters. But don't confuse patience with passivity. Don't mistake waiting for timing with wasting time. You can be patient while still taking action. You can be grounded while still moving. What you cannot be is passive. What you cannot afford is delay, disguised as thoughtfulness. Action must always be part of the equation. This is not just about goals. It's about the way you live. It's about how you carry yourself. When you walk into a room knowing that your life is in your hands, you move differently. You don't beg for attention. You don't chase validation. You operate with clarity, with urgency, with discipline. You will have people who doubt you. You'll have days when you doubt yourself. But the decision to keep going doesn't need applause. It just needs commitment. A quiet promise to yourself that no matter how long it takes, you're not quitting. That you're not hoping someone shows up to do the work for you. Because you've already accepted that no one's coming, and that's exactly why you're dangerous now. You're free from waiting, you're free from needing, you're responsible, and responsible people get things done. Stop looking around. Stop waiting to be picked. Stop waiting for someone to tell you what you already know. You have the power, you have the time, you have the ability. The only question left is, what will you do with it? You can talk, you can plan, you can keep thinking, or you can get up, take control, and build the life no one's going to hand you. This is your moment. This is your responsibility. No one else is coming to write your future. It's on you now. Make it count. If you want to change your life, don't wait for the perfect moment. Start being consistent with what you have, where you are. These 10 habits aren't just ideas. They are choices you make daily. Nobody else can do it for you. You have to decide that your future matters more than your excuses. So stop overthinking, stop delaying, and start following through. Even if it's slow, stay with it. Day by day, step by step, that's how real change happens. If you stay consistent, you will win, not overnight, but for life. Now go do what needs to be done.